Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, Epic announced that they're going to buff some of the weaker and underperforming hero abilities. So for today's video, we're going to make a tier list of all of the abilities in Save the World. Basically, I'm going to show which ones I think need a buff, as well as the ones I think don't need a buff. Before we get started, I did ask a bunch of our Discord members how would they rank the Save the World abilities. And one thing I noticed is that everyone had different opinions when it comes to which ones they think need a buff and which ones that don't. And what you're looking at right now is how some of our Discord members rank the Save the World abilities. So I should point out that the tier that I'm gonna make is based on my own personal preference and my own play style, which obviously not everybody's gonna agree with. So before we take a look at mine, be sure to let us know in the comments which hero abilities that you would like to see buffed. Also, I will leave a link in the description to where I made this tier list if you would like to make your own. But yeah, as you can tell, everybody has their own personal opinions when it comes to abilities. And here was Yoda's tier, and big shout out to Yoda for providing us that link that allows us to make our own tier list. But yeah, this is based on my own experience and my own play style. So again, just let us know in the comments how you would rank the Save the World abilities. Anyways, first we're going to start off with the Constructor abilities. And first up we have Bull Rush. And I don't consider Bull Rush to be one of the best abilities, and it also seems like it's kind of situational. It does have a pretty decent cooldown. It's good for getting husk off of your walls and stopping smashers from charging at your base. It doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage though, at least when it comes to miss monsters. But I also don't consider it to be like one of the top priorities when it comes to getting a buff. So I'm gonna put the Bull Rush at C. I think I'm gonna put it at C. And I may change some of these around towards the end once we get a better comparison. But first we'll start off with C. Next up we have the Decoy. And the Decoy used to be a lot more powerful than it is now. Like it used to attract miss monsters. But I wouldn't consider this to be one of the best abilities either. I would say it's slightly better than the Bull Rush. So we'll put this one on B. Next up we have Going Constructor. And this is definitely an ability I would like to see buffed. So I'm gonna put this at D. I don't think it's the worst ability in the game, but the reason I don't like it is because you're sort of vulnerable once you use it, and there aren't that many heroes in the game that buff your Going Constructor. So yeah, this is one of the abilities I would like to see buffed, so I'm gonna put that on D. We also have Plasma Pulse. Now I do like the Plasma Pulse. It deals really good damage. It has a short cooldown. It's even good against miss monsters. So I'm gonna put that one in A. Kind of feel like that one's better than Decoy. We also got Rosie, and this is definitely an ability I would like to see buffed. Now don't get me wrong, the damage it deals is really good. Like I have no problem with the damage at all. The thing I have a problem with is that the cooldown is 180 seconds, which is 3 minutes. Obviously you can reduce that with Happy Holidays, but there aren't any heroes in the game that can reduce the cooldown. So I mean, you're not really going to be able to use it that often. And that's one thing I would like to see buffed. Again, I have no problem with the damage, but I would like to see that cooldown reduced a little bit. So I'm going to also put that on D tier. And that's pretty much it when it comes to all of the Constructor abilities. I know the base isn't shown here, but if it was, I would put that in S+ tier. Alright, so next up we're going to take a look at ninja abilities. And first we're going to start off with the Crescent Kick. And I know some people really like it, but in my personal opinion, the way I look at it is something I can do to kill time while my other abilities finish cooling down. The damage isn't really that great versus miss monsters, but it does have a pretty decent cooldown. But I don't really consider it to be one of the best because you can't really kill as many husk with it compared to some other abilities. So I'm gonna put this on C tier next to the Bull Rush. Next up we have the Dragon Slash, and I would consider this to be the best ninja ability in the game. It has a really short cooldown. I think the only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage to miss monsters, but like I said, it's really good when it comes to just about every situation. Speaking of which, this is one of the best abilities to use when it comes to Hit the Road, which is the event that's going to be released in a few days. So yeah, that's the best ninja ability in my opinion. Next up we have Kunai Storm. And I think I like Kunai Storm a little bit better than Crescent Kick. I do like the fact that it has a short cooldown and it covers a huge distance. It's really useful when it comes to the Mythic Storm King, but I can't think of too many other situations where I would find it useful. So I would put that at B tier. Next up we have Smoke Bomb, and I sort of consider this one to be another one of those passive abilities that you just use whenever it's available just to use it. It could be useful when it comes to healing yourself and your teammates, as well as slowing husks down, but it does have a longer cooldown compared to some of the other ninja abilities. So I think I'm going to put this one on B tier as well. The last ninja ability we're going to do is Ninja Stars. Now I noticed a lot of people on Discord had Ninja Stars really low, and I would not argue against having a buff on the throwing stars, but compared to the other ninja abilities, I think I would put it at an A tier, similar to the Plasma Pulse, only because the cooldown is really low, one of the shortest cooldowns in the entire game. But I couldn't put it any higher because it doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage against Husky Husk and Smashers. So I would put this at A tier. But I noticed a lot of people on Discord had it much lower. But that's how I would rank the ninja abilities. Next up, we're going to take a look at soldiers. When it comes to grenades, I don't really consider these one of the best abilities. They do deal pretty decent damage, and they're pretty decent when it comes to crowd control, but not really that good when it comes to Mist Monsters. So I'm going to put that on B tier. When it comes to the minigun, I would say this is S+ tier. Because it has a short cooldown, it can deal a lot of damage. It's like the best ability when it comes to dungeons. So I would consider that a top tier ability in Save the World. Next up we have Lefty and Righty, and I would put this at S tier because this is another ability that's really good when it comes to dealing a lot of damage. It does have a slightly longer cooldown compared to the minigun. So I wouldn't say it's better than that, but it's definitely better than Plasma Pulse and Throwing Stars. So I would put that at S tier. Next up we have the Shockwave, and I'm going to put this one on S tier as well because this one has a really short cooldown. It deals really good damage against everything except Smashers, but it can knock Smashers back, which is pretty good. It also has a bunch of other uses, like if you were to use Archetype, that can allow you to increase your speed. So I would consider that to be an S tier ability. And last up for the soldiers, we have Warcry. And again, this is another really good ability. So I think I'll put this one in S tier for now. Honestly, it may even be S+ tier because this is also really good when it comes to a lot of different events. Pretty much almost any situation, it's pretty good, and you can reduce the cooldown of it so you don't have to wait that long either. Yeah, let's put that on S+. It's a really good ability. So that's how I would rank the soldiers. And last up we have Outlanders. When it comes to phase shift, I kind of saw this like all over the tier ranking list in Discord. Some people had it really low, some people had it really high. Obviously when it comes to mobility, it's like the best ability in the game, but I noticed there's a lot of heroes that have abilities that don't really buff the phase shifts like they should. Like Cottontail Eagle Eye, for example. I feel like her standard and commander perk definitely needs a buff. Same thing with Fire, Flower, Eagle Eye, and just about every hero that supposedly helps the phase shift deal damage. I feel like all of them need a buff. But as far as mobility goes, phase shift is really good. So I would put it, I'd say let's put it right here, because I would like to see some of those phase shift heroes get buffed. And to be honest, this isn't the only way to get around the map quickly. You could also use weapons that increase your movement speed, like the Baron. You got double jump when it comes to ninjas. And you can also use hoverboards and Save the World. So I don't consider the mobility factor to be that necessary, although it is useful. And that's why I ranked it at C. Next up we have Seismic Smash. And I do consider this one to be pretty decent. I would put it on the same page as Plasma Pulse, Throwing Stars, but it's not as good as, you know, the S and S+ tier abilities. So that's why we put it at A. Now, this is one ability I would love to see buffed. Shock Tower. I've never really been a big fan of the Shock Tower. It only lasts for like a couple of seconds. And yeah, I would just like to see this Shock Tower buffed in some kind of way. So I'm gonna put that one on E tier. And last up we have the Teddy, which I'm gonna put on S+ tier, because I would consider that to be the best Outlander ability. There's a lot of really good Teddy heroes in the game, and if they didn't buff it, I wouldn't be mad because it's really good the way it is now. And I know anti-material charge isn't on here, but if it was, I would probably place it at S tier because it's the best way to farm and save the world, but it's not really that good when it comes to dealing damage to mist monsters. So I couldn't put it in S+ tier, but I couldn't put it lower than S tier because, like I said, it's the best way to farm materials and save the world, and farming is a huge part of the game. So I would put anti-material charge here and the Constructor's base in S+ tier. Alright, so now that we've gone through all the abilities, I think the only thing I would change is I would make Throwing Stars change places with Kunai Storm, because Kunai Storm is really useful when it comes to Storm King, and when you compare that with Throwing Stars, that's not really useful when it comes to any event. And I think that's how I would rank all of the abilities in Save the World. Like I showed earlier, a lot of people in Discord had different opinions when it comes to these abilities, so be sure to let us know in the comments how you would rank the abilities, and be sure to let us know which ones you all would like Epic to buff. And I'm not going to go over every hero ability that I would like to see buffed, but there are a couple that I wanted to point out. One of them could be Ambush Buzz. I kind of feel like her commander perk really isn't that useful. The shockwave that drops egg bombs, I feel like that one can be buffed a little bit. Magnus's perk that makes your decoy deal damage, I feel like if that one was to get buffed, people would use it more often. Maybe increase the stun duration for Dashing Hawk. I didn't like Dashing Harekin's commander perk that much either. Obviously I don't like Cottontail Eagle Eye's commander perk. I would like to see a better cooldown for lefty and righty, so maybe they could buff Double Agent Evelyn's perk a little bit. Again, I don't like Fire Flower's commander perk either. I would like to see 4-Leaf Wildcat buffed as well. I also don't like the energy cost heroes, so Highland Warrior Wildcat. Miss Bunny Penny is another one that has an energy cost commander perk, so I would like to see her perk buffed as well, or changed entirely. Same thing with Onslaught Headhunter. She has an energy cost perk for Shockwave, so I would like to see her perk changed as well. Same thing with Plague Dr. Igor. He has the energy cost for Smoke Bomb, which, I mean, when you take into account the cooldown, you're gonna get your energy back and then some before it finishes cooling down, so this one's pretty much useless as well. Sarah Hotep is another hero that has an energy cost commander perk, and the bad thing about her, she used to be a really good hero. She had the same perk as Dragon Scourge, but they ended up changing it to energy cost, so I would like to see her get buffed because I feel like nobody has used her since they've given her this new perk, which is basically useless. So hopefully they change her perk as well. Skirmisher Edge also has another energy cost. I'm not going to say this one's useless though, because Throwing Stars have such a short cooldown that in certain situations you may need that energy cost in order to keep using it. So I wouldn't say he's completely useless, even though he's an energy cost hero. We could probably change Striker AC's perk, because I don't think you need energy cost for Seismic Smash. And same thing with Support Specialist Hawk. I don't think we need energy cost for that one either. But as you can tell, the main ones I have a problem with are the ones that are energy cost. I kind of feel like they're really useless. And those are the main heroes I would like to see either buffed or altered. But that sums up everything I'm gonna go over for this one. Again, as of right now, we don't know which ones they're gonna buff and which ones they're not gonna buff. But yeah, as soon as they let us know, I'll be sure to let you all know. Just wanted to share my thoughts on it in case they're watching. And again, don't forget to let us know what you all think in the comments below. Anyways, I hope y'all found this video useful, and thanks for watching.